Welcome, U.S. History 2 students. This is Miss Foley. Happy Friday. Today, our job is to complete the Unit 7 Early Cold War Study Guide. Believe it or not, we did the whole early Cold War, which most people consider 1945 to about 1959. We did completely online, and many of you did a really fantastic job with that. So, for that, I say congratulations, good job to you. If you do a really good job on this study guide, the exam next class will be super easy. And I highly recommend using this study guide that's complete and ready to go when you take your exam next class. The exam will be in the form of a Google form. Okay, so there's 25 questions from all the different topics. You just need to use your lessons that we used, videos, notes, scholarly research, any of those things in order to complete this study guide. So just to kind of go over some of the questions. How did the Yalta Conference, remember that was one of those big conferences at the end of World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union, they were both there. They were both on the same team. How did it later on lead to tensions? So how did it kind of, lead to mistrust between the United States and the Soviet Union? Um, Tell me about the formation of NATO and the Warsaw Pact, and linking that to the Cold War. Pretty simple question for number 3. Why is the Cold War called the Cold War? It's not a hot war, it's a Cold War. Why? Then question 4, we're going back to the Korean War lesson. How did the revolution in China impact the United States and Chinese relations? Hint, the United States and Chinese relations got worse. Why? Number 5, why was Korea split into North Korea and South Korea after the Japanese surrender in World War II? I'm kind of giving you the answer a little bit here, but remember, Korea was a Japanese colony. So think about what the United States did and the Soviet Union did with Germany, and they also did something similar with Korea. So just explain that. What was the result of the Korean War? Who won? Was there a treaty? Did it end? That's what we're talking about here. The next question segues from the Korean War to that Red Scare and McCarthyism lesson that we did together. The first thing for question number 8, this is a little tricky, is to think about when and why did the first Red Scare occur? Hint, it technically wasn't in this unit. The first Red Scare was after World War I. Okay? Why? So what was going on after World War I that led to a little Red Scare in this country? And then really what we emphasized in this unit, when and why did the second Red Scare? So generally when we're talking about the second Red Scare, we're talking about the 1950s, the unit that we just studied. So why did it occur during the 1950s? Number 9 is a little bit more obvious than number 8. Number 10, who was Joseph McCarthy? Just tell me like a little bit about him. What is McCarthyism and how did it relate to the second Red Scare? I really liked in that lesson that we used political cartoons. Why are political cartoons a thought-provoking primary source? Why do people sometimes like political cartoons better than any other primary sources? Give me some of your feedback there. Number 13, this is segueing to that Eisenhower lesson. Describe Eisenhower's path to the presidency. So just, a sentence or two. What did he grow up doing? What was his life before he became president? And how did that kind of lead him to be president? Number 14, discuss Eisenhower's most important domestic infrastructure accomplishment. Hint, it's something you drive on. And why was it so long lasting? Why is it considered such a huge accomplishment? Number 15, list and discuss 2 reasons why Eisenhower is considered one of the great presidents of the 20th century. He is considered one of the great ones there's more than two reasons. All I need is two reasons from you just to know that you kind of know what you're talking about. Um, Now, number 16, this goes to that Google site that I created to kind of show you about 1950s culture. So, how did the presence of atomic weapons impact American life? You can kind of go down the line of, you know, what did people have to do? What happened in schools? You know, think about like drills, that kind of thing. That's the answers that I'm looking for. How did consumer culture respond to the end of World War II? How did people consume things after World War II? How much did they, and why? And you know, I really want to emphasize that during World War II, people really weren't allowed to buy things. They were rationing, that sort of thing. So that's the idea there. What was the baby boom? Why is it important to American life in the 1950s? Why did it happen right after World War II? You can go into that. Number 19, the federal government began to invest more in American education. What prompted this? Okay, the unit's called Early Cold War. So, what did investing more in American education and the Cold War have? What kind of link did they have? Number 20, you can pick any of them. Discuss a popular television show from the 1950s. What made it so popular? 21, who was Elvis Presley and what impact did he have on the 1950s? Number 22, how did youth culture change the 1950s from previous American generations? Teenagers have always existed, but in 1950, during the 1950s decade, they were pretty prominent. So can you just tell me what were some of those characteristics of those teenagers? What was the thesis of the book, The Other America? What was it about? And number 24, what was Levittown and why was it considered a symbol of the American 1950s? So 23 is the lesson from last class. 24, you're still getting it from that Google site. And what was your favorite part of the 1950s? That's just me kind of missing you and want to hear a little bit from you. Okay, so just tell me what was your favorite lesson. What should I do more? What should I do less of? That's kind of like a big, overall feedback question. Okay, so that's your assignment for today. I hope that you have a great day. I hope that you're safe and that you're well. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.